A young dad-to-be from Ottawa County killed after crashing his car into a tree. Fox 17's Darren Cunningham spoke with his closest friends about the shock that they're feeling. We have some breaking news to bring you. A Lion Air flight in Indonesia has overshot the runway at Bali International Airport this morning and ended up in the water. Indonesian transportation officials say everyone on board survived, but about 50 passengers had to be hospitalized. A piece of Barry County history that was burned to the ground late last month is getting a new life and a new look. Reporter Annalise Kranz is in the studio with more. Good morning, Annalise. The man that robbed a fast food restaurant in West Michigan still hasn't been found yet. The Kent County Sheriff's Department says Kentucky Fried Chicken on Plainfield Avenue was robbed last night. They say a black male with a gun walked into the restaurant, told the workers to get on the floor, and then took off with money. He's described as around 5'7" or 5'9". He was wearing a black ski mask, a black hoodie, and jeans. If you have any information on this robbery, call the Kent County Sheriff's Department. Police say he placed a GPS tracking device on his co-worker's vehicle, then broke into her home. Friday, the accused stalker was arraigned. Noah Bice was charged with home invasion and possession of burglary tools. He was arrested inside his co-worker's home in Texas Township earlier this week. Deputies say the owner returned home from a Griffins game with her boyfriend when they found Bice inside, armed with a knife and duct tape. The boyfriend, an off-duty cop, held the suspect until deputies arrived. At Friday's arraignment, an investigator said Bice claims he went to the home to get the GPS device off of the vehicle so he could recharge it. He then realized he needed to go through the house to get to the garage and used a credit card to break in.
He then began walking through the home looking for photographs and other documents and items to familiarize himself with her in an attempt to gain her affection.
Deputies say Bice had been stalking the woman for quite a while. Investigators say it appears this was an isolated incident. US 131 in Allegan County shut down for about an hour and a half last night. Sheriff's deputies say two-car accident caused it. It was shut down between 222 and 124th Avenue. Both drivers had just minor injuries, but the cars were totaled. Both speed and alcohol, according to deputies, played a factor in that crash. It's a story we told you about a few weeks ago. A Texas DA shot and killed just weeks after his assistant was murdered. Now the investigation has led to the home of a man who has had contact with both. Here you see overhead shots of authorities searching Eric Williams' home. He's a former justice of the peace for Kaufman County, Texas. Williams was convicted of stealing equipment from the county last year, and it was a case prosecuted by District Attorney Mike McClelland and prosecutor Mark Hasse. Hasse was fatally shot in January as he was walking to the courthouse. McClelland and his wife were killed in their home over Easter weekend. Williams' attorney says his client is cooperating with officials. Police have yet to name any suspects. Greg Bradshaw, he's going to be sentenced later this morning in Fremont County, Colorado. He is one of two men who escaped a West Michigan detention facility last September and along with their girlfriends led police on a drug-fueled crime spree that lasted nearly 2 weeks, spanned several states. The group was eventually caught in Canyon City, Colorado. Back in February, Greg Bradshaw pleaded guilty to second-degree burglary in Colorado. That is what he's being sentenced for this morning. The other escapee, Kenneth Grauman II, originally charged with 4 felonies, including drug and weapons charges, along with a misdemeanor. He is also due in court this afternoon for a hearing on a motion that his attorney filed. Now, his cousin, Laura Grauman, pleaded guilty to 1 count of felony theft. She received 2 years probation and was ordered to serve 90 days in jail. Laura Grauman now back in West Michigan. Authorities tell Fox 17 she has been cooperative in helping them build a case against the rest of the group. And Brittany Rector, the youngest fugitive and girlfriend of Kenneth Grauman, was charged with breaking and entering and stealing a car. She's also been charged with operating a meth lab in Allegan County after returning to Michigan. She's due back in court on those meth charges later on this month. Again, 8:45 this morning, Greg Bradshaw will be in court in Colorado to be sentenced. We will have more on Fox 17 News at 5 and 6. Mike? Sarah, this is such a sad story. A mother and son shot and killed, and it was a family member who police say was responsible. It all began on Wednesday in Newaygo County. Fox 17 received a copy of Marcia Hoover's 911 call, but it was so graphic that we as a station have chosen not to play that recording on air. We have learned, though, that Isaac Hoover was shot first, and Marcia Hoover knew her husband was coming after her next. After receiving that 911 call, police arrived to find both Marcia and Isaac dead. Then an 8-hour standoff began. Charles Hoover was eventually found dead, as you said, from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Neighbors say he was deeply religious, spoke often about the end of the world. One even used the word radical to describe him.
He truly believed that some very tragic occurrence was going to happen sooner than later.
The extensive property where the couple lived has 5 separate buildings. One of them is a chapel. Thousands of cans of food were also found at the home, in addition to a bunk room with food storage and up to 30 beds, but there was no hardened bunker on the property. Charles Hoover also had a minor criminal record going back to the early 1970s. Live in the newsroom, Tim Doty, Fox 17 News.
Good morning to you on the big stage.
Good morning, Sarah. And since we are talking music, some rock and roll, I'm going to channel my inner Spinal Tap here and say, hello, Cleveland. Actually, we're not in Cleveland. We are on the East Beltline in Grand Rapids at the Frederick Meyer Gardens. I am on the stage at the amphitheater because they have announced their concert series schedule for this year. It's the 11th year they're doing it, biggest year ever, 30 acts. Some of them are new acts with younger people, Owl City, Grizzly Bear, the John Butler Trio coming in all the way from Australia, but there are other acts that have played here before. Chris Isaac has been here, Steve Martin and the Steep Canyon Rangers have been here, Garrison Keillor's been here, but nobody in the 11-year history of this Meyer Gardens Outdoor Summer Concert Series has played here more than Lyle Lovett. 8 times. This will be his 8th time this summer, and in that time he's developed relationships with people here and a fondness for the place, especially for the CEO and the president, David Hooker. Take a listen.
We went out, just the two of us, and I showed him the American horse. And he pulled out his camera and I bet he took 100 pictures in about 10 minutes. And then he said, here, I want to get one with you in the picture. And I said, oh, no, you don't. But he did anyway.
So Lyle Lovett, you could call him the unofficial house band of Meyer Garden. It is unofficial. Steve Martin, another person who's taken a great tour here of the grounds. It all kicks off on June the 3rd with B.B. King, the legend. Still does about 100 shows a year. That's followed by Dwight Yoakam. You've got Smokey Robinson, Sheryl Crow, all in the first 2 weeks. You've also got people like Peter Frampton playing. As I said, Chris Isaac, Michael McDonald, the Beach Boys will be here. It starts June 3rd. It all ends up with the Indigo Girls in September. Now, if you want to see some of these shows, it is recommended that you become a member of Meyer Gardens because you get a chance to buy tickets at the pre-sale. That is April 27th. You get in line early that day. You get $5 off your tickets. So if you want to get in, there's only 1,900 seats. James, you want to pan around here. The sun is coming up, but 1,900 people on these arches and this amphitheater seating. It is a great place to see a show. When we come back in the 8 o'clock hour, we will talk about what makes this amphitheater so unique and so special. Mike and Sarah?
Good morning, Tim.
Morning, Mike. A warning to foreign workers came over the weekend and stated that they should be out of the area by April 10th. That's just one of the reasons U.S. officials speculated that North Korea could launch a missile as early as today. Now, in response, the Pentagon has beefed up its missile defense shield in the Pacific. Japan has installed Patriot missile batteries in locations around Tokyo. This is the 3rd time they've done that. They've moved the missiles over the years. Each has coincided with North Korean satellite launches. Now, nobody thinks North Korea has the technology to send a missile all the way to the U.S., but they do have one that could easily hit Japan or South Korea, key American allies. Residents in Seoul, South Korea have brushed off all this talk in recent weeks as just that, talk, but U.S. officials being much more cautious, partly because they don't know North Korean Kim Jong-un very well. They're not sure what his real motivation is here. Could it be serious? Will he back down? Or is he doing this just to hold off some threat from within his own country? We will keep an eye on this, of course. Live in the studio, Tim Doty, Fox 17 News.